Welcome to the American Contractor Show, the show that's all about American contractors living the American dream. I'm your host, John Dye. Each episode will introduce you to contractors just like you who have beaten the odds and leveled up their game to become the dominant force in their markets. Together, we'll explore the tools and tactics that unlock the secrets to their success. Join me as we begin the journey that leads to the realization of your American dream. Guys, welcome to the Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. This is the edition of the American Contractor Show that I've been waiting for because it's the most American time of the year. And if you guys look to my right here, I've got my favorite person in the world, probably one of the coolest people I've ever met, Mr. Butch Lockhart, with me. Butch is probably the most American dream person I've ever met, and he is living the dream life. And I was so excited when he agreed to come on the show and be a part of this. So Butch, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, John. Always a pleasure, buddy.
It's so great to have you, especially on this for this episode, because this episode is really awesome. And I think that we're going to really get into talking about some really cool stuff today about what makes America so great as a nation to be a contractor in. And that's what this show is all about contractors in the United States doing awesome stuff and living the American dream. And that's such a weird thing to define, the American dream. And I think for everyone, it's a little bit different. But I'm curious to know, I know I'm probably putting you on the spot, but what would you consider to be the American dream?
Well, I think anybody that would look at a dream, it's about trying to be successful at whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And why do we want to do that? Well, we've got families to support.
That's right.
We want to do it the right way. So when you talk about the American dream as it relates to the contracting industry, the opportunities are almost limitless based on capabilities, integrity, hard work, all the other things that you well know that takes to go into actually succeeding in achieving the American dream.
Do you think the American dream is impossible or more difficult now to achieve than it was in the past?
Well, define the past. You mean before COVID or
no,
how long
I mean,
ago?
Let's say 20, 30, 40 years ago.
It's so much easier now.
Really?
Because of technology. I mean, you can leverage now by using these devices.
These little things in our hands,
yeah,
huh?
that we use nonstop for a long list of things. And many of those listening here are in my generation, where you'd come back to the office and you'd get these little pink slips. Okay, that
What's
call
a pink
this
slip?
person. Well, call this person. That not the kind of pink slip that you might get to exit a company, but the phone messages. And and in the early '80s, voicemail came in.
Right.
And then now, of course, we still have voicemail, but we're texting and we're emailing. And so business is a lot easier to, I guess, leverage somebody's capabilities by using technology.
Yeah, that's true. And it's connecting us to opportunities that we probably didn't have back several years ago.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you guys don't know who Butch Lockhart is, I want to introduce him real quick. Butch, you have one of the most amazing careers I've ever known in our industry. And I'm so excited that you live right here nearby in Indiana and you're able to come in and stop in and talk to us about this. But tell people a little bit about what your background is and where you came from in the industry.
Started out in 1978 as a roofing contractor.
Yeah.
So in my career, I've spent a total of about 6 years in the contracting business. Was blessed to have an opportunity to help launch Firestone Building Products.
Yeah.
Back
You
in
worked right
1980.
across the street.
Yeah.
The pyramids. Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of great people, great contractors. So had a really fortunate 13-year career with Firestone in sales and marketing. And then had an opportunity to follow the president to GAF, where I spent a couple of years. And then the last 20 years, I've been an independent manufacturer's rep.
Wow. And so with you doing that, you being an independent manufacturer rep, you're doing a lot of different stuff, but you've had one of the most amazing careers and have really seen every aspect of this industry. And what I love about it is that you started as a roofing contractor and you worked, you got into the supplier side of things, the rep side of things, the material side of the business. And it just goes to show at the end of the day, no matter where anyone starts in this industry, there is an opportunity for them.
Yeah, it's about gaining knowledge, being valuable
Yeah,
to customers, and doing everything the right way.
it's so cool. And that's what allows the dream to be a reality and not be such a dream, right?
Well, and we have a lot of dreamers out there, and many of you in the listening audience have met them that have big aspirations, but they may not be willing to make the commitment to do things the right way. I've always thought, from a contracting perspective, there are some people out there that are great at selling.
Right.
There are other guys that came from the field and they're great in operations.
Yeah.
And I look at it as if you had a two-leg stool of sales and operations. A two-legged stool doesn't stand. Without finance,
Right.
now you have a three-legged stool.
Right.
It's finance. We're talking about bookkeeping. We're talking about tax. We're talking about financial statements and reading balance sheets to really understand where you're going. So, the ideal company has sales, operations, and a good financial structure.
Right.
Now we have a fourth component when we start talking about technology and media and things that you're doing.
And marketing and all it gets a lot more complex the bigger the business becomes. But I also think that a lot of times the bigger the operation becomes, the easier it is for it to scale. And I feel like the less stressful it becomes a lot of times for owners. I think owners are scared to scale their business because they feel like they're going to lose control of things.
Yeah, and I think part of the challenge is, and I talk to a lot of contractors weekly, and they all have aspirations to grow bigger than they are now, but they realize that so many times they have limitations, and our limitations are based on our skill sets. I think you have on your shows attorneys, you've got marketing people, whether they're generating leads or whatever it might be. So, it takes a lot of skill sets to succeed as a contractor. By knowing that we all have certain limitations and we need to seek wise counsel and advice from others, that's where we're really able to grow the right way.
Yeah, that's the reality. And I think there's a lot of good information on the internet, but there's also a lot of information that you probably need to filter out and not really take.
Yep.
But that's the thing, though, figuring out who to listen to, I think, is probably one of the biggest challenges in the industry today. And so, but I really appreciate you being here because I trust your guidance, your opinion. You're one of the people that I look up to in this industry, like probably no other. And I appreciate you being here. So thank you so much. And we're going to go on with the show today. I actually want to show a video that our friends at Atlas gave us. And this is a really cool episode. And this was something that they put together, and I think it really exemplifies the legacy part of this. And we also have Pate Smith with us from Mcclenney and Mosley Associates. Matt Danskin's waiting in the green room as well. They're going to come on and talk about this as well. And Pate actually does a lot of stuff about legacy, and I think legacy is really, really important. I think that's part of the American dream, is not just doing this for you as a person, but for the generations to come. And I look at myself, I've been in this. I'm probably like third, fourth generation now. My dad, you work with my dad quite a bit. My grandfather, and I look up, and this video just gave me chills when I watched it because I was like, man, this is hitting home. And so I want to show this to you guys today, and then we're going to discuss the other aspect of the American dream, which I think is being able to hand something down to the next generation and get the next generation involved. So let's play this, and then we'll get these guys in and we'll discuss this.
I got into roofing by my dad was in the business,
My dad started roofing when he was growing up.
Kind of born into it, if you will.
and that's how we learned the trade. And we've been in business now for 47 years.
Been roofing in Green Bay, Wisconsin for 17 years.
37 years. 14 years.
30 plus years.
I've been serving in the roofing industry for 45 years.
Actually, I had my daughter working for me and my first son actually working for me in the warehouse.
My son is second generation in the roofing business, and he's been in it 17 years.
I also had my mother working for me.
I originally found out about Atlas through my son, which is my partner. When he came to me about the idea of switching to Atlas, and we were with the big three companies, he said, "Dad, you got to take a look at this product." He said, "There's a lot of great things going on in this company. They're family owned and operated. They're a family business just like us."
They kind of treat us like family. And that's the way we like to do business, because my business is a family-owned business. If you can't trust your family, you can't trust nobody.
We went from nobody ever heard of us to the #1 roofing company in our region.
We've gone from 12 roofs a year to 20, 35, and we did over 400 last year.
There's more that goes into this than just me being a roofing contractor. My ethics of being in the business and teaching my son about it, and it's the honesty part of it. Do the right thing.
The success, I would say, is from my experience that I was fortunate to get at an early age, along with obviously understanding that the customer is first.
They want to know that we're going to take care of their property, we're going to clean up when we're done.
If a customer's not satisfied with the way the roof came out or how it looks or whatever the case may be, to me, I haven't done my job.
Secret sauce to the success is keeping the customer happy, doing the right thing, using the right products.
Atlas makes that really, really easy.
So that was put together by Atlas with some of their Pro Plus customers, and I think that was one of the coolest, probably not talked about things in our industry, which is the legacy that this affords us. And I'm going to invite Pate Smith and Matt Danskin into this conversation today. Great to have you guys here. I just happened to notice what Pate was wearing.
Okay.
Which he just flipped his phone around, so I can't see it now. Pate, can you hear us, brother?
What's up?
Matt, good to see you too, buddy. I just saw your tank top. Are
good
you?
To see
you're
you, John.
on 4th of July out already. It's good to see you too, Matt.
I can definitely
appreciate
not
you guys
see
being
John
here
right
today. Pate doesn't realize he's live right now.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
But let's talk about this video, though.
Pate, can you hear? I can, yeah. I can hear you. I can't hear John. I don't know if there's an issue with that, but yeah.
Well, let's start with you, Matt. We'll come back to Pate here in a second. But Matt, I wanted to talk about, what your opinion is on what makes being an American contractor truly special. What is it that you guys that you've learned in your career so far in contracting that really has afforded you the opportunity for the American dream in your life?
Yeah, I would say the massive opportunity that we have. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute the broadcast so it's not echoing there.
Good.
Just the opportunity that we have in this country. I've traveled a lot abroad. I've even worked abroad a little bit, and seeing what is capable for an individual, even if they haven't graduated high school, if they are going to put in the work, if they're going to apply their knowledge, there's just so much out there if you go out and get it, compared to a lot of countries where it doesn't matter how educated you are, how hard you work, the economy, the infrastructure, the government, or whatever is working against you. And so I would say that's probably our biggest unique opportunity, is that our advantage in the U.S. is that opportunity is available out there for us.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge part of it. And now, Matt, you just you just had a kid too, didn't you? You just had a son. How do you think the roofing industry is going to help with you guys with leaving a legacy and for your family and for the future generations?
I would say, I just had my third son, so I can open like a three sons roofing or something. But I think in the future, as we're seeing now, technology is going to continue to push things along. People are going to continue to innovate, and that's really what's going to lead the contracting world here in the future is having the old school skills and that sort of thing, but being able to integrate the new technology and new innovations that let you do so much more and provide so much more value to your clients and that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a huge part of it. Pate, are you with us now? Can you actually hear us? Pate's still struggling there with his mic today for some reason. We were having issues with it last time, I think a little bit too. But I was curious to get some opinions from Pate on legacy. And so, hey, can you hear us? Maybe Matt, will you tell him? Maybe you can let him know that we'd like to hear from Pate a little bit on legacy. But either way, we'll come back to it. But Butch, you had some notes as well on legacy over here too.
Opinions on legacy directed at me. I can't hear John. I can hear Matt. Yeah, this is a disaster.
Yeah, Pate, can you?
Yeah, I mean, as far as legacy goes, you know, in this country, I look kind of at my dad and how he grew up. So my dad grew up in like a cotton town in Alabama where the mill was like the deal. He started, you know, they at that point in time, you know, they're a normal everyday middle class family. My granddad, my pop worked at the mill. Am I good, Danskins? Can people hear me? Cool. Yeah, sorry. I was just confirming. Yeah, my pop worked at the mill. My dad started, it was 12, you know, and he just put in work, worked at the mill, went to high school, played baseball while working. You know, when he wasn't pitching, he was working. Like he had that deal with his baseball coach, and then he went to college, you know, and he worked all through college, paid his way, worked at the gas station, was a manager at Morrison's, saved up money, and finally got the ability to become a dentist. And, you know, I can remember him saying he was married when he was in dental school. And if one of the kids would have gotten sick, you know, all of his dreams would have been gone because all he had been able to do was work. And so when you talk about legacy in a country like this, you know, I think I'm the product of somebody who, you know, created an amazing legacy. And so like, that's kind of what I want to give for my kids. Like I want to sit there and be able to work, be able to put in effort, be able to do good for other people. And at the end of the day, turn around and be able to show my kids, hey, if you get up every day, put your boots on, go out of the cave, kill something, drag it back to the house, and you roll that dice every single day, like eventually it's going to pay off. And like Matt said, this is a country where you can do that. And I was incredibly blessed my entire life. My dad was a really hard worker. He taught me a lot about business. My mom taught me a lot about business. They would sit me down and talk to me about things. But the reason they had that is because we live in this amazing country. And I feel blessed every day to live here. I, you know, wouldn't have it any other way.
And that's the reality. That's what a legacy truly, I think, entails. Now, you're from Alabama as well, right?
Yeah, Roll Tide. I'm not sure if you're an Auburn guy or an Alabama
no,
guy.
he's a true blood Alabama guy. So he's your boy Pate. So, but yeah, I mean, what he's talking about there is the reality of it.
Yeah, and he touched on work ethic, and you know, you learned your work ethic from your dad, John Dye Sr.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it the right way. Your dad does it the right way. You can have a great work ethic, but sometimes guys get so focused on working so hard, trying to do everything and figure things out on their own. I admire your father, for instance. He's kind of in my genre in terms of age. This old dog still likes to learn new tricks. You've taught me some new tricks. And your dad contacted me about 3 days ago regarding a particular low slope roof that he was having problems with. And rather than just go do something, he wanted to call to get some advice from someone else. So
right.
I think you can have a great work ethic, but if folks aren't willing to leverage their resources around them, you can get yourself in trouble in the contracting business.
Oh yeah.
So whether it's the pop, the grandpop, we all have a responsibility for our children and our grandchildren to set an example of having a work ethic and integrity to do it the right way. We all know there's two ways to do things in the contracting business. One way is to do it right. The second way is to do it over. It's a lot more profitable to do it right the first time.
Yeah, that's the truth. And I think that's got to be on the forefront when you're trying to leave a legacy or talking about a legacy, doing it right and focusing on that part of it. Matt, are there any things that you're doing that are, intentionally doing in order to leave a legacy for the future?
I would say, like I told you, I've got, let me mute this again. I've got 3 boys, and they've got a while before they come up behind me. My dad was somebody that taught me the trades, taught me building houses growing up. And he always said, hey, I want you to help me with this, but I want you to go get an education and don't work in the trades. I don't want your knees and your back and everything broken by the time you're 40 or 50. That didn't work. So for me, I think I love contracting. I love the trades. And I'd love to teach that to my children, much in the same way that I'm doing, where I'm not necessarily beating my body to death every day, working in the trades, but there's ways that you can apply your mind and be very successful while still creating things and building things, which I just have always loved.
Yeah, I agree with you there. My dad used to say the same thing to me, make sure that you get an education so you don't end up having to work your entire life like I did. But I think work is a virtuous thing. I think it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something I'm glad that we're able to do and that we're afforded the opportunity to. And that to me is a huge part of what we do. The more, in the United States, you're going to get rewarded when you do good work. It's not like that everywhere else in the world. And you spoke a little about being abroad, and I know you were abroad as well. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like in comparison, what makes this so special here?
Well, if you look at Europe, for instance, and I at Firestone Building Products, I have responsibility for Europe as well. So I travel to Spain and Italy and England and Germany and France and Holland. And if you look at those countries, there are opportunities there, but they're smaller. And if anything, they're within a 50 or a 100 mile or whatever the meters would be over there. And very few of those companies are able to get outside their country. You had socioeconomic, you had political. At that time, before euro dollars, you had to go travel over there with envelopes for currency. So just everything was harder. Now it's probably a little easier now. However, you still have that boundary issue within countries. Here, the size of our states are about the size of some of those countries, but we know no borders. Mm-hmm. And we can travel freely, and there's not a big issue if a contractor's from Texas doing work in Indiana or someone from Indiana going to Florida, as long as they have a good reputation and they're bringing good value.
Yeah, the opportunity's there though. Where do you think people lose that opportunity? Where do you think that they go wrong when they're trying to? Is there too much opportunity? Is there such a thing?
Well, the way that I have seen contractors in the 2 years in this industry is they get too far ahead of themselves. Many of them grow too fast. Mm-hmm. The financial intelligence is not there, and so they get themselves overextended, whether it's with taxes or paying their bills, whether it's labor, material, and so we've seen guys with great work ethics, but who work themselves right out of business because they didn't have a maturity with their thought process. We all have habits, John. We have good habits, and we have other habits that aren't as good that we want to develop and get better. We're looking for new habits. And one of the things that I did with one of the product lines I represent, which is Malarkey, we did a workshop back in the spring, and management had asked me to prepare to talk about management to roofing contractors. So I wasn't planning on doing it. I happened to have this in my briefcase when we were talking on my drive here. And so I developed this little 10 habits of managing a highly effective roofing company. I'd be happy to give it to you. You can post it wherever you want. It's not about products. It's not about companies, other than speaking to how you can develop a highly effective roofing company. It's kind of like a checklist. So there are 10 of them. And I just showed you the last one a little bit ago at the break, and you wanted me to maybe conclude with that. And the topics are as follows. And this isn't rocket science. Everybody is aware of these things, but to have it all in one document might be helpful to contractors. Number one is monitoring your business plan, which means you need to have a business plan and then monitor it on an ongoing basis. And then the second one would be focusing on total customer satisfaction. You touched on that. We know that you can't be in business without that and get referrals. It's creating a positive team culture. We've all seen great companies, but not succeed when maybe the next generation took over and they didn't have the same work ethic as the father did. Mm-hmm. So we like to see these generational companies continue, but sometimes it's not always the case. The fourth one is building your brand with regard to marketing. Number five, embracing technology and social media, which we didn't have 40 years ago when we started in the roofing contracting business. Implementing an efficient selling system. You know how to sell. These guys all know how to sell, but do you have a system where it's standardized and you can train 1, 2, 3, a team of 12 people to go sell? But it's about having a system. Number 7 is committing to quality products and services. Speaks for itself. Developing intelligent financial structure, which I touched on earlier. Maintaining consistent integrity and life balance, which really has to do with overdoing the work ethic and becoming workaholics. We've all been guilty about it, but we've got to have that life balance, or our children won't respect us if they know all we do is work. And the last one, and the one that you had touched on earlier, was leaving a positive legacy. And I'm going to put my helpers on. One day, John, I'll loan you some of these.
There you go.
But leaving a positive legacy, and I'll conclude with this. How well am I creating something that leaves a lasting impact? How well am I building an impressive reputation? Respecting everyone all the time. Sharing my time and my money. Mentoring others. Valuing all relationships. Being a role model. And then lastly, how well am I prepared with a current last will and testament? As you build these companies and leave resources, think of your family. Take the time to update that will so that you have your wishes met, so that is a truly positive legacy and not one with gaps.
I love that. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that makes America so unique is the legacy, is how we're able to pass this down generation to generation and have this positive impact on not just today and the here and now, but what we're doing and what we're building today will last for so long. Don't look at your business like it's just a today thing. Like it's just something that you're doing to build yourself up. Understand that there's a whole another generation coming up behind you that's ready and willing to move on. I will say one of the things that I looked forward to as a kid was someday being like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that. And that's something that I think that is so powerful. And even if you didn't have that opportunity to do that as a kid, understand that your kids want to have that opportunity and give that to them. You be responsible for that. Start it today. You can start it today. And that's the other part about America that's so awesome. My grandfather came to the United States from Mexico, and he was not is not a citizen. He had a social security card that he had as a migrant worker when he was in the 60s and 50s when he would cross the border to do this stuff. It was a totally different time back then. And so when he came and moved here to realize that he was able to impact his entire lineage just from that one point. Don't get caught up in what you don't have, but get caught up in what you do have, and focus on that and begin that legacy today. And I think that that's a great way to wrap this up a little bit, because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, no matter what you've done, no matter what your life is like, because of our country and the opportunities that are here, you have the opportunity to do things right and to move forward and to leave a legacy from here on out. And that's a beautiful thing. Matt, anything you guys want to close up with? I know you guys are still here. Matt, Pate, I'm sorry, guys. We've been having some technical issues today, but I'm so glad you guys have joined us. I don't know if Pate could still hear us or not.
I can hear. I'm just having to toggle the volume on and off, muting. But I appreciate everything you guys had to say there. Don't have a whole lot to change other than just say God bless America. Thankful for this country that we're in, and with that, I'll lob it over to Pate to wrap up from there.
Can you hear me? We good? Yeah, I don't know what is going on today with the volume situation, but yeah, I'm super thankful to be on. Obviously, super thankful to be part of this amazing
Well, I appreciate
country.
it, guys. I can't really see Pate, so
At
I'm not
4
sure
p.m.
if
today,
he
obviously,
froze
everybody
up or
check
what
us
happened on his
out
end,
on the
but
Large Lost Lounge.
I appreciate
and
you
we'll
guys
see you
being here,
there.
both of you. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day today, especially right before a holiday to spend time here. So thank you both. Butch, I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always an honor, and I always feel like I come away with so much knowledge just hanging around you and just being around you. Just the osmosis, just it rubs off, and I don't think anyone else could deny that. I talk to roofers all the time that have here in town that run into Butch and Jared, and they're just like, man, those guys know their stuff like none other, and it's such a blessing to our to Indiana to have you here, and to the entire roofing community. I love that we get to share to you with a much greater audience, because you have so much great wisdom to share with us, and thank you for that.
Well, back at you, John, because we were talking earlier about what technology does, and if you look back, if you guys ever been to a skating rink, I haven't been to one in years, but a roller skating rink, and if you go to those, you'll see one bright light as the skaters go around.
Right.
There's one light shining on a ball.
Right.
That ball has mirrors all the way around it. And so what's happening is there's only one light shining on that ball, but what's happening around the room? Thousands of lights all around. So with what you're doing, and Art of the Supplement and Balance Claims are doing, is using one venue, this microphone, one person here in Indianapolis, you're the light, but through technology, you're blasting all over the country. So continue the education work that you're doing. It's all about improving our contracting industry so that we're thought of highly and not maybe negatively.
Right.
But the last comment I would say is that if you look at roofing contractors in general, when people say they're calling a roofer, they're not really excited about it because they're not sure he's going to show up. So they'll call 5 to maybe get 1 to show up.
Right.
And the one that does is not very impressive or professional. So go those guys that are creating good habits, doing it the right way, creating a positive legacy, stand out and shine so much brighter than all the others. So that's the real opportunity that all of your listeners have a chance to do, is to create that American dream and doing it the right way.
I agree. Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure. Guys, we're going to be back on Tuesday of next week, and so I hope everyone has an amazing 4th of July weekend. It's Independence Day weekend. It's one of my favorite weekends. I know you've got some plans with your family, and you guys are going to be doing all kinds of cookouts and stuff. We'll be doing the same thing, and I hope everyone takes some time to appreciate where we live and where we're privileged to be a part of, and in this community, this nation, that has afforded us so many amazing opportunities. and I'm thankful for that, and I'm sure that you guys are as well. So make sure to do that this weekend. Spend some time, reflect, be thankful, and then we'll be back again on Tuesday to do another episode of the American Contractor Show. So make sure to check it out. If you haven't heard us, we're on podcast form as well. It's on Facebook, YouTube. Go to theamericancontractorshow.com. Thank you to all our sponsors for being a part of this and for allowing this to happen. We're going to be we got some really cool stuff coming up with them starting next week. But this has been a great episode. Thank you, Butch. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe our pages so that you can stay up to date with every episode. And by the way, this show is all about you, the American Contractor. Be sure to comment and let us know what you want to hear about and what subjects you want us to touch on. We'll be sure to include them in a future episode. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.